So when I was in university, right, I had this friend, really good looking guy, church guy, Christian guy. He was, he was one of the best guys in his department, one of the best looking guys. Lots of girls wanted to have him, just normal cool guy in school type of vibe, right? So he became my roommate at some point, and he had this girlfriend. I always knew about the girlfriend. The girlfriend was beautiful. This guy, I said he was a Christian, so he used to host like church programs, church parties. He was a church guy, and this girl would fund his programs like out of pocket. You understand? She would fund it from her own pocket. So it was wifey. They had been dating for close to 3 years at the time. He was even living, sometimes he would live over at her mom's place and the rest. I remember once I came back from holidays and this girl had bought all manner of foodstuffs in the house. Like, I came home and I was like, God, this is real love right here. This is the girl really taking out time for this man. But at some point I started to get a bit tired too, because I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. And every time these people were always talking about how amazing this girl is. And I'm like, yes, I know that your girlfriend she's beautiful, she's this girl, she's that girl, but let the single breathe. Let me breathe. Let me rest. But no, every day they're talking about how this girl is incredible and how that girl is incredible. In fact, everybody in the room, we were 4 people who stayed together. All 4 of us, I was the only one that didn't have a girlfriend. And this guy's girlfriend was outperforming everybody's girlfriend in the room by far. So I was already like downcast anytime I heard about it. Anyways, one day, all of a sudden, they had a minor issue, a minor type of issue. Now, remember I said he was a Christian. So yeah, they weren't really having, they weren't doing that very often. In fact, turns out that they had not done it they only did it the first year they started dating, and based on his call, he wasn't doing that anymore. They were still dating, the relationship was still strong, but that part wasn't just there. One day, he called her, and she did not pick up his call. Yeah, he called her a couple of times, and she didn't pick up his call. He went over to look for her, and then he heard this, turns out that, yeah, she was having sex with a girl. She wasn't even doing it with a guy. She was doing it with a girl. He forgave her because he was in love with her. It happened again the second time. In fact, I think one time his girlfriend even arrow-worded the other guy. I don't want to use the other word, the woman word, so I don't get banned on YouTube. But she like she forced the girl into the act. She forced the girl. They did this stuff. Like, it was just a whole mess, and it was not the first, it was not the second, it was not the third, it was not the fourth. So when shit like that happens, they will break up because he will be so mad. They will break up, but then he's in love. They will come back together, and then she was fantastic. She wasn't calling me for money. She wasn't calling me for nothing. He was doing it was just a perfect relationship from his standpoint. All of a sudden, he found out that he would call her and she wouldn't pick again, like she had done before. He would call her and he wouldn't pick, and then at one point, she had moved to a different city for a particular job she was doing, right? So the only way they could keep the relationship going was calls. And when he'd call her, she won't pick. When she picks, it's obvious that she doesn't want to talk to him, this and that. He kept on like trying to fight for relationship. He kept on asking, okay, is there any issue? What's the issue? She would talk about, oh, I don't like the way you winked at my friend or whatever, and he'll stop winking at that friend. Then the next day she would say, oh, I'm not picking your calls because I'm having stomach pain. The next day it's I don't like the fact that you're calling me too often, this and that, this and that, this and that. And for the next couple of months, he was the only one calling her. She wasn't calling him anymore. One day, she posted a picture and she was in a car with someone. The person was driving. She didn't show who the person was, but she was in a car. He called her to ask. She said she's just her friend. She doesn't know why he's being insecure about it. All manner of excuses. Once he called and she was laughing because somebody was tickling her. So she was laughing. She was having a conversation with somebody and she was really happy having the conversation with him. And this her boyfriend was kind of like killing the moment. It was killing the vibe. It was a very, very, crazy situation. And then finally, one day he called her and she said she doesn't want to be part of the relationship anymore. He was heartbroken. He couldn't believe what had just happened. Like, why? Okay, is there any issue? Was he, he just couldn't believe it. Then he found out that she had been cheating on him. Not with one guy. She had cheated on him like a couple of times. The guy she was with at the moment, she had been cheating on him with the guy for months. Like before anything, even when they were in the same city, she was cheating on him with that guy for months. So he found out about that and he was crushed. So he called her and was like, is that what you did? He heard of it and then he called her and was like, is this what was actually going on between you and I? Were you actually cheating? And she said she was going to call the police on him because he was now harassing her. That was the exact words that she used, that he was harassing her. That same day, a couple minutes later, her mom, the mom who had treated him as a son, called him and insulted. She called him all manner of names. Even his friends couldn't believe that woman would hate him to that point, that she would say those things to him. And yeah,